Welcome back, ladies and gentle people. We are ready for the next game. Finn against Core, ForGG against Core Prime, and this is going to be the first Terran versus Protoss of today. The third match. We just had a little bit of an upset in one of the other matches, and well, if you're a foreigner, that is because apparently Greg Fields just lost his match 2-0. But well, we are obviously hoping that the rest of the foreigners is doing a little bit better. We have Sen, by the way, another result. He won his match against, I think it was True, with 2-1. And on the B stream, we are now going into Finn against Core. Players are ready, I think, so we can start the game. Ladies and gentlemen, stay tuned for the first Protoss versus Terran game of today, at least on the B stream, that is. I'm Kaldor, and we are going to cast Finn ForGG against Core on Belcher Beach in just a few seconds. And the game started. To the left side of the map we have, in the blue colors, the player from Prime. We have Core. He is starting out as a Protoss, obviously, and his opponent is none other than the Terran player starting at the bottom right of the map. It is OGS Finn, aka ForGG. And to give you a little bit of an insight into the matchup for both of these players, it's not really the best matchup. We only have 9 competitive games for OGS Finn. He won 3 of his matches against Protoss, but he lost 6 maps, so he has a win ratio of 33%. He lost in the recent past. He lost to Sasa with 0-2. He lost to Extreme with 0-1 in the GSTL Clan War OGS versus Xenix. He fell victim to MC, who beat him with 2-1, and he also lost to Yonghwa with 0-1. So, to put it in a nutshell, OGS Finn is not the best Terran versus Protoss player, at least if we can believe the statistics. His opponent is not the greatest PvT player either, as Core has a 29% win ratio against Terran. He won 6 maps, lost 15, and in the recent past he lost to Dream, he lost to the STC, he lost to Jakji, he lost to Bomba, and he lost to Teja. So he was not able to decide one of the past 5 games against a Terran in his favor. Let's see if that's going to change today. We have the first map in this best of 3, and as you can see, we already have the wall in for OGS Finn. This is exactly why Belcher Beach in the early game is a little bit Terran favored in this particular matchup. Later on, as the game evolves, the map is actually not all that bad for Protoss, but in the early game it is really a problem for the Protoss players that they can't scout what's happening inside the main base of the Terran. Usually a lot of Terran players will start with an early command center. I guess this is exactly what we are going to see, as ForGG is now not taking gas, so he will start with an early command center, will start with a second base. But as the Protoss player has no idea what's happening inside the main base, there's also the option that the Terran player is getting gas, is going for some kind of tech strategy. We've seen Cloaked Banshees on Belcher Beach, we've seen Reaper play, we've seen play with just double or even triple barracks in order to take on the Protoss player as soon as possible. And for Core, that just means he has to play blind. He has to play the first minutes of the game blindly. He might throw down a 1-gate expansion, but for now we just have to wait and see what he decides to do. How greedy is he going to be? Is he going to play it super safe and allow his opponent to get a little bit ahead when it comes down to the economy? We'll find out in just a few minutes. For now, we have the command center being built for our OGS player. OGS Finn is now just building the first bunker at the ramp as well in order to prepare time a little bit. In general, now opening with a Stalker, by the way, not a Zealot. We already have the first Stalker out, and lately we've seen a lot of Protoss players just trying to get a little bit more aggressive, as Terran players nowadays tend to play super greedy, so early Stalker pressure is nothing all that unusual anymore, especially in the past clan wars. We've seen a lot of Protoss play chrono boosting their first Stalker, trying to get into a position where they can deal a little bit of damage, but with a bunker in position and the first Marines occupying it, there's just no way for Core to sneak a Stalker past the Marines and survive. So he is going for, wow, he's going for a 4-gate attack. He cut pro production at 20. He's going for a standard 4-gate. That's certainly something that I did not expect And well, ForGG, is he going to be ready? He's placing down a second bunker. He's going for 3 barracks. He's not cutting corners just now. He doesn't even get gas so far. He doesn't have a single refinery as of now. And he is getting another building in order to just start to wall off. So I have to say that this is going to be a tough battle for Core. He has a lot of stalkers already though, and the bunker is just about to finish. And here we go, ladies and gentlemen. The first stalker is already dead and gone. The stalkers are just walking past the zealot as well. And he has now a lot of problems, the Terran player that is, because there are not all that many Marines. And Core does have a decent micro. He's keeping his stalkers alive. He's doing a really good job and killing a lot of harvesters. But at the same time, ForGG is already ahead. He is on 22 harvesters against 20. Finally, the warp in onto the high ground with a pylon on the low ground. Very nice job so far. Wow, this is going to be a lot of pressure. What is Finn going to do? He's pulling all his SCVs, trying to surround the stalkers. The zealots are doing a really good job at repelling his opponent's workers. There are a bunch of Marines in the mix, but as you can see, we have 5 stalkers against 10 Marines, and more of the harvesters are now about to die. He's killing SCV after SCV, and he is still not completely surrounded, but there's only 1 stalker left. 13 SCVs, 20 probes. More stalkers now being warped in, and a bunch of zealots as well, but this attack is over. He has to transition out of it, and he's already building additional harvesters. 13 to 21 the worker count, but let's not forget that there are 2 mules in the picture as well. This might prove to be a little bit difficult. Finn is moving out now, trying to take on his opponent's forces. More warped in stalkers for Core now. And well, let's have a quick look at the income. In regards to minerals, the Terran player is still ahead thanks to the mules, but he still does not have gas. He's still not mining gas, and that might prove to be a problem as he can't get marauders. That's the huge problem that he has at his hand right now. He just can't get marauders. Marauders would put an end to the aggression of Core, but with those 2 bunkers in position and a lot of Marines, I don't think that Core will attempt to break through the wall in again. No, he's building the expansion now, trying to get a second base. Is supply blocked as the pylon, as one of the 2 warp-in pylons has been eliminated. But the main question right now is, will Finn be able to get back into this game? And it certainly looks like he will. He's already at 23 harvesters to 25. 2 mules are obviously just shooting the income of ForGG through the roof. He's getting the first refinery, the second refinery, and building another command center. He's in a really good position right now. He's in a very good position. He knows that nothing can breach his wall in just now. Core is trying, just sneaking, just poking, having a quick look if there's a possibility for him to enter the main base of his opponent. But now, wow, he's catching him unaware, taking down 2 stalkers and a zealot. ForGG is capitalizing on the mistakes that Core makes just now. Very well played so far. And the transition into the Twilight Council. He has a lot of gas. He might even... well, let's have a quick look what he's going to do. He just completed his Nexus. And I don't really know what Core is trying to do right now. With the Twilight Council, he can get Blink, he can go for some kind of DT play, trying to pull off some desperate strategy, but I don't think we will see any of it, as now ForGG is entering the main base of his opponent with all his Marines, trying to end the life of the Stalkers, doing a really good job at that. Taking down probes as well, and now we have also a bunch of Marauders being produced. He's going for Stim. There's just nothing that Core can do right now. He is so far behind, 37 to 33 probes, and obviously the army size of ForGG is now getting bigger and bigger. He already built a ton of units in his main base again and might even move out once more. We have Charge being upgraded now. He's relying on minerals more heavily. He needs additional gateways that as soon as we just saturated those 2 bases. But well, so far that game didn't go well for Core. He just lost way too much. He did a decent amount of damage and killed a lot of SCVs, but at the same time he had the huge problem that his Stalkers were stuck in the main base, and as soon as ForGG was finally able to get a hold of the Stalkers, trying to surround them with the SCVs, the attack was forced back, and from that point on, with 2 bases against 1, ForGG was just in a very nice position. He already has a third command center now, the third orbital that is going for the starport, and is just in case that his opponent is trying some TD strategy, building one missile turret. So he knows fully well that at this point in time he needs to be a little bit careful. He has 3 command centers, so he has a lot of scans, but building this one missile turret just gives him all the insurance that he needs in order to just hold off any possible attack. We have now on 2 bases for the prime player, for Core. We have him with the Templar Archive, but he is still down in supply, and by a lot, 68 against 91. The harvester count is still hugely in favor of the Terran, and that's obviously something that should not happen, especially since we have those 3 orbitals with the meal capacities. 8 Zealots, 1 Stalker, 2 Sentries, that's all there is. Another scan just reveals the small army of Core, and ForGG, he can move out now. Salvaging the bunkers, he's trying to put the 3rd base into position, and then he will start to attack with his army. He is getting concussive shells plus 1 attack, and already has stim as well as combat shield. Very nice position for Finn to be in. He is in a position where he can now command this game, where he can make sure that his opponent doesn't stand a chance anymore. If he plays this well, if he plays it in the standard game, then there should be nothing that Core can do in order to defeat him. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. We have Core at least with a bunch of Archons. He's not even taking to Storm just yet because he realizes that he can't afford to. He's still trying to saturate those 2 bases. 50 harvesters right now, 12 zealots with a charge. That's all he has, and we still have the 3 bases now for GG. He's pulling ahead farther and farther. He now has 130 supply against 97, 99. A decent lead in supply, and there's the attack for Core. That's a desperate attempt to get some momentum going for him, but the scan reveals the Templar, still no Storm. The Ghost Academy is being built now, and therefore ForGG adding the last tech that he needs in order to crush his opponent's force. But I have to admit that I don't think he will be able to win this battle anyways. The army supply is 60 to 80, but wow, ForGG is going back. He's going back, couple of feedbacks, and now trying to take down his opponent's units, taking on the Archons, and with a nice stutter step he should be able to decide this game in his favor. Right now a small force is just trying to go for a run by. Very well played by ForGG so far. Here we go, getting into the natural expansion of his opponent. The warp-ins are too late, and there are not enough of them. The Nexus is getting sniped, and there's the GG. Core is leaving the game. ForGG is up ahead with 1-0 in this best of 3. Very well played so far by ForGG. That was quite the impressive performance. Core didn't hold a candle to his opponent, but going for the 4-gate was a little bit risky. Of course, Terran players are weak in the early game when they go for a very fast expansion, and ForGG played it, well, maybe a little bit, no, not really greedy with just placing the command center outside of his wall, and at the same time he didn't even take gas to start his tech, so he was relying more on his Marines. Didn't have Marauders in order to counter the Stalkers, but just the sheer number of Marines and the SCVs that he pulled enabled him to just cope with the force that his opponent threw upon him. So that was actually a very nice game on Belcher Beach, a very short game, but it was nice to see how ForGG is reacting against early game pressure. And my main question right now is how Core is going to go into this second game. If he is once again trying to just put pressure on his opponent, if he might go for some kind of sneaky build, or if he's trying to play a standard game against his opponent. The lobby is hosted. We're just waiting for the players to get ready, and then we can start the second game in this best of 3. And here we go, ladies and gentlemen, the game is about to start, the countdown is on, and we have game number 2 coming up between ForGG and Core Prime.